Welcome to the Breeder's Brew, the dog breeding podcast hosted by myself, Sara, the canine family planner,
and me, Isabel, the canine nutrition coach.
We're promoting responsible breeding by unpicking the minefield of breeding myths and methods for owners wishing to expand their whelping wisdom. This episode delves into holistic breeding practices, exploring key topics such as the role of exercise during pregnancy, the importance of an open mindset in breeding, how supplements can support canine health and fertility, and the need for quality veterinary care and informed decision-making. With valuable insights and real-life experiences, this conversation highlights the holistic approach to breeding and the lessons that shape responsible and ethical dog breeding. Just to give you a heads up, Isabel, the canine nutrition coach and the sponsor of this award, joined us for this informal chat. However, you'll see that she had some serious gremlins in her system, which meant that not only did we lose her during the interview, but it actually impacted some of the ongoing conversation that I was having with Jacquie. This is a slightly shorter than typical episode, just because unfortunately we lost a lot of the content. However, there's still tons to learn from Jacquie, so I shall hit play now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Breeder's Brew. I have two special guests with me today because Isabel, normally my co-host, is attending more in a special guest capacity along with the main feature and guest of today, who is Jacquie Mullin, who was the winner of the most recent annual Breeder Awards. She won the Holistic Breeder category, and she was also a finalist for the Rising Star Award. So she's almost like a triple threat. So thank you both for coming to the podcast. Isabel gets to kick back and relax a little bit on this one.
Indeed, I'm looking forward to picking my feet up.
I think by now we all know a little bit about Isabel. So Jacquie, it would be great for you just to introduce yourself, a little bit of a backstory, whether you've owned dogs all your life or not, and how you stumbled into the world of breeding.
Thanks, Sara and Isabel. So I'm Jacquie Mullin. I have two Whippets called Daisy and Elsie. I've owned Whippets since I was about 8 years old. We started off with some show Whippets, and it was my dad that loved the Whippets. And we got into Whippet racing. I just absolutely loved it, really enjoyed the sport. As I grew older, sort of, holidays and just general life, things happening with life, it didn't have any Whippets for a few years. And then when I got into my 30s, I said, the two things I want when I'm 30, I want a Whippet and I want a Rolex by my 30th. And I achieved both. So I was very, very proud of that achievement. And I decided to race Lily, my Whippet, and I always go with songs as racing names, so she was Dancing Queen, and decided to race her, bring her up, and so I bought her from a breeder who had been breeding for quite a few years, and fortunately Lily went on to become a champion, and she was very, very fast. I decided to breed her. I thought, I want to breed her, I want to sort of carry that line on. And Lily she was 5 at the time, decided, we did the mating and whatever, natural mating. She had 4 puppies. They were born by cesarean, which was a little bit scary because one of the puppies was born naturally, but she was usually Whippet puppies range from sort of 5 to 9 ounces. Well, her puppy was 14 ounces. And so she gave birth to the first one naturally. And then after that, the boys had to be born by a cesarean section the following day. But fortunately, they were all okay and she was okay. But it did kind of put me off the whole experience because I had somebody with me helping me out who bred Lily. So I thought, great, she'll be a great help, etc. But she was basically putting me off by saying, no, don't go to the vets, because she's not, she's fine, but she wasn't going to the next stages of labour. So in the end, like I said, she had the girl naturally on the 20th of February, and then all the boys were born the next day on the 1st. But it's quite interesting because obviously I was listening to this woman who's bred, many, many litters over the years, and my gut was saying, get her to the vets. Well, I'm glad I listened to my gut and not the person that had bred my bitch, because it turns out she would not have been able to give birth to the boys naturally. So I did the right thing going to the vets, having a C-section, but it kind of put me off because she had the C-section and the whole experience of it. As lovely as it was, I thought, I just don't think I can do this again because I just felt so stressful, etc. But over the years, thought actually after sort of buying in Whippets, well, actually, because it was still, my line was still going, because those puppies then went on to be bred on from, I thought, well, I feel like I need to bring that line back again. So I tried to breed Elsie a couple of times, and each time I didn't realise at the time, but I was getting her dates wrong. So Sara was obviously giving me all the right information and all the right advice to say, no, she's not ready. But, obviously sometimes we get a little bit impatient and we think, I don't really want to be paying out for another blood test. Let's just try this. Let's just try it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, lo and behold, it wasn't fine because Elsie wasn't ready. And so this time we decided to blood test Elsie from day 9 and make sure we get her bloods absolutely accurate. It did take 7 attempts, so she had 7 blood tests, but it proved that Elsie was in fact what they call a late acceptor after doing a bit of research, and she was mated on day 23. And that was the day that Sara advised that Elsie was ovulating, day 23, 24. So we went for the mating, and fortunately we had 5 lovely, healthy puppies. Again, she did have to have a cesarean, but the vet did say that she probably wouldn't have been able to give birth to the puppies naturally because of the way they were positioned. But they were all very healthy, like I said, ranging from 9 to 10 ounces, and they're all absolutely thriving. So I'm very, very grateful for Sara for her help and guidance throughout the whole process, because this was in fact Elsie's 3rd attempt, and it was her last attempt because she is actually 7 years old. And I'm very grateful for Isabel because Elsie's been on lots of different vitamins and selenium, folic acid, raspberry leaf. And I think that this is why I have perfect litter, very healthy, very strong.
That's an amazing story. I'm going to roll it back and unpick it a little bit if I can. Just out of interest, is there a big difference between show and racing type Whippets or not?
Yes, there is. So it would almost be like having me racing with Usain Bolt. I'm the showbred, as the race bred. That's the difference.
Okay. And so what are the racing bred? Are they fine? Obviously they're leaner, but in regards to their conformation and type, do they tend to be finer or?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So when I look at a showbred Whippet, I look and I think, oh, that Whippet's fat.
Right.
Because I have got a friend who I have to cut her dog's nails because she can't do them herself. So she brings her Whippets around, and every time I'm like, oh, your Whippets are a little bit overweight, they're a bit, but they're bred differently. The racing ones are leaner and more muscular, and so they say looking at them, there is quite a lot of difference, and definitely in speed.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm interested in regards to Elsie's exercise whilst she was pregnant. This is just only because this has been a theme through all of this series that I've been doing at the Annual Breeder Awards. What did you do in regards to her exercise? How did you alter it knowing that she was then in pup?
Up until she was mated, she had regular exercise every single day. As soon as she was mated, I never took her out for a couple of weeks. I think I just walked her around my estate, so there wasn't too much grass that she was sniffing. Before, I did sort of let her off and free run her, but I thought, no, she's staying on the lead, practically wrapped her up in cotton wool. I thought, I'm not doing it this time. This is literally, as you said, Sara, last chance lottery for Elsie because of her age, and I had to get it right. So she didn't have exercise until she was confirmed pregnant. So once she was confirmed pregnant with her scan at 21 days by yourself, Sara, she then had exercise, but there was a period, I think there was like a 2-week or a 10-day period where she just walked around the estate, and I was very, very careful, but I did not let her off the lead. I thought, no, I'm not chancing this.
No, fair enough. And then, so once she was confirmed in pup, how did you change her exercise up until she delivered?
Her exercise was absolutely the same. So she still had a mile to a mile and a half walking every day. She wanted to go out. I got the lead, and she would excitedly come up to me, wagging her tail. which obviously, you know, you listen to your dogs, don't you? They tell you if they want to go out or not. Then 3 days before she had the puppies, she didn't want to go out. And that's when it stopped. I just didn't take her.
That's interesting. I think that's a new, and Isabel, I don't know if you would agree or not. Before, it's kind of been, once they've been scanned, stop exercise and don't let them do too much. But there seems to be a change of attitude in regards to do what the bitch is usually used to doing. So she's used to exercising X amount of miles or minutes or hours or whatever. She will tell you when to stop it. And I'm seeing a pattern of people keeping their dogs more active for longer during pregnancy.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm really pleased to hear that you're seeing that shift actually, Sara, because I think, albeit there, you know, I think that there has been a trend in the last 20 or so years of people, like you said, once they scanned in pup, let's not do exercise. But in the grand scheme of dog ownership, that window is only a very small proportion of what dogs have been man's best friend and been breeding, been pregnant, and you strip it right back to the mammal that is sat in front of us. And they need exercise. They need to keep up their stamina and their fitness, because whelping is a marathon. For a lot of girls that go naturally, first stage of labour can last well over 24 hours in some cases, which is strenuous for them, not to mention the actual active stages of labour, and then lactating and rearing the litter. It's a lot for their bodies. So I am in the camp of exercise. I think it's really important, not to mention the fact that mental health is really important in dogs. Goes without saying. Definitely. I think everyone's starting to realise that mental health is a really important thing that we should be talking about. And outdoor exercise and fresh air for dogs, and the ability for them to blow off some steam and use their nose and their limbs and all of those senses that they were born to use, it's really important to keep their mind happy. Without going into too much detail, obviously the gut-brain axis is really important as well, which is where the gut connects to the brain. A happy brain is a happy gut, and a happy gut is a happy brain. And that links to everything else in the body. So in terms of immune system as well, it's great to continue exercising, in my opinion.
Well, glad we all agree on that one. Isabel, what would you deem holistic traits for a breeder that obviously Jacquie has done? She's already mentioned some of them. Do you have any key categories or sections that you feel a breeder's taken a more holistic approach to their breeding strategy?
The first thing I'd say is an attitude of learning. An open mind to learning, I think, is the number one characteristic of a holistic breeder, because it's somebody that's demonstrating they've got an open mindset and they want to learn more about what is best for their dogs. So it's not necessarily someone that's read every single book or feeds their dog on a certain thing or does this specific certain technique. I believe it's somebody that loves their dogs in a way where they want to do better, and that is how I would immediately identify somebody who would likely be a holistic breeder, or somebody that's a holistic dog owner, somebody that's just trying to do better.
Yeah, I think this definitely falls into having an open mindset, and Jacquie's already given examples. To me, from your first breeding, Jacquie, where you had this C-section, that definitely wasn't, as you say, the plan. And you had relied, Isabel, we've talked about this, where we believe that dog owners should be going back to the breeder of their bitches for that help and support, because they know that bloodline and they know the quirks that it has or some of the behaviours it might carry compared to other bloodlines. And Jacquie, you were perfect to do that, but it just goes to show to go with your gut feeling still, because she was guiding you down one route of, no, everything could be all fine, but she did need that C-section. And I think we kind of had that same pattern when Elsie missed twice before, is that your stud's going, no, let's mate on these days. So it makes me wonder that, though Isabel always harp on about make sure you've got a good stud owner, make sure you go back to your bitch's breeder, that actually those people need to have that open learning attitude too. Because if they fall into having that fixed mindset of this is what we've always done and this is what always happens, then that has been a detriment to you, hasn't it, in your breeding plans? Maybe we haven't emphasised enough, Isabel, about the
open mindset. It's imperative. It's so important. And like you said, it doesn't matter who's in your breeding team. if you can identify individuals that all have an open learning attitude that are in your breeding team, I think that's incredibly powerful. I would definitely say I'm an open mindset person, not a fixed mindset. Even now, every day is a school day and I learn every little bit of advice I can always pick up. You're exactly the same, Sara. I feel like we never stop learning and researching. I think that is how you determine if somebody is a proactive and therefore likely to be a holistic breeder, is somebody who's wanting to pick up and use the latest, most modern pieces of information to do the best for their dogs.
Definitely. And I think with me, I listened to people that whippet racing that quite know-it-alls, to be frank with you, that, well, my bitch is always 11 and 13 days. She's always mated on those days. So I was going by what they were saying, but actually Elsie was day 23 and 24 when she ovulated. When she, at the time, I was doing research, and like I think I mentioned, she was known as a late acceptor, and that was due to the fact that she was over 2 years old when she had her first season. So that was quite interesting, I thought, when I first found out about that. I didn't realise that because she was quite late coming into season for the first time, it meant that she was called a late acceptor. So she was never going to fall pregnant on day 11 and 13.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know you've sent me that paper that you found about that, which I haven't had a chance to read it yet, actually. And I probably should send it on to Isabel as well, because we would both be interested in that. Because this, again, would be an interesting pattern to see. Yeah, that could be a question that I could start asking my clients that I have in, like, when did she have her first season? Because that will start building up that picture of, is she going to be the typical 11 and 13, which I don't know if people don't understand by now that they are literally just numbers that people have some preference to. It's just impossible to say whether you have an 11 and 13 until you ovulation test. And I hope that the listeners have heard the common theme throughout of these podcast episodes, that people are progesterone testing, because you are literally guessing. And like you said, Jackie, you had time against you. She had already had 2 misses. So now you're pressed up against an age time frame that if you'd just carry on testing all the way through, we would have identified that a bit sooner. And also it highlights that there are experts, but you're racing people. They're experts in racing whippets. They're not reproduction experts.
That's right.
Okay, they do breed their dogs, but really their speciality is racing whippets, keeping them in whatever condition, knowing the rules, regulations, all that kind of thing. And I think sometimes you need to know when to duck out and go, no, actually, I need to go the next level above.
Yeah. And I think what was interesting as well, Sara, was that the vet had advised me, and I know we spoke about this, Sara, that when Elsie was day 21, she needed to be scanned so that we could make sure if she was in pup, we needed to hold on to those puppies. So she therefore needed an extra blood test so that we knew that her progesterone levels were doing the right thing. So that's also quite interesting, I thought, because I'm not sure if that's something you do quite a lot, Sara, but within Elsie's case, we needed that blood test to make sure that her progesterone levels were right so she could stay pregnant, because obviously we thought in the past she might have reabsorbed, but now I'm thinking I don't think she did reabsorb. I just don't think she was ever pregnant before.
But as you say, you had to go all in because it was your last chance saloon, so we had to tick all the boxes regardless. But you're right. Some reproduction specialists in this country are all over it, and some because they happen to have an open learning mindset, and they're filtering through new methods and practices that I've certainly taken on board with complex cases. It doesn't need to happen with the run of the mill, but once you tick the complexity box, then we do all the things. Right, it would be great to know about some of the supplements that you've used. Because I know they've helped you on your journey, and Isabel can obviously chime in at this point.
Yeah, definitely. The selenium I put Elsie on as advised by Isabel, because obviously wasn't sure if she had reabsorbed before puppies. So that, that's definitely one that I would have in my little kit if I was breeding again, because that will help if certain breeds are quite prone to reabsorb, etc. So definitely use selenium. your raspberry leaf as well that you can give later on throughout the pregnancy to help with, hopefully a seamless birth. Not always that doesn't happen, I know, but I do feel like, these, like I said, the puppies are very strong and they really are thriving. So I feel like they have benefited from all of these supplements. Also, vet advised the folic acid as well. So she was on folic acid, selenium, and the raspberry leaf. I'm pretty sure that's right, isn't it, Isabel? From what I remember.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did organic wheat germ oil as well. I can't remember actually, Jackie.
Yes, I did. Also, I did. You're right. I did the royal jelly. Sara mentioned to me when Elsie was early stages with her season. That really, definitely, I believe, brought her into season. And what was the other one you said, Isabel, other than the raw jelly?
The other one, you're quite
germ.
right. So I'm just thinking, wheat germ oil, because obviously following a failed mating or a miss, as you said, there are certain supplements that are always recommended. So it's the trio of selenium, royal jelly, and organic wheat germ oil is the bundle that following a miss, you'd always want to start in preparation for the big day, really, which is exactly the protocol that you followed this time around, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like, she was absolutely fine throughout her pregnancy. And I just think with the C-section, it's quite possibly could have been her age. Maybe her muscles wasn't as strong as a younger whippet anyway. But, she's absolutely fine within herself and she's come out of it perfect. And the pups are absolutely, like I said, perfect. So I would definitely go down that road again, when I breed in a couple of years with with these puppies I've got. So I'm very grateful for all the advice.
It's interesting because, again, a common theme throughout these podcast episodes are the supplements. And I've had, who was it? Sue, who won Breeder Excellence. She feels that she's lost less puppies putting their females on the supplements. So she's a Labrador person, and generally lab people keep things quite simple and basic. They don't really like to overcomplicate anything in any way, shape or form. But she decided that she wanted to do the supplements. And she certainly feels that the puppies are healthier, stronger, that she's not losing any, that the bitches kept in better condition. And she'd also used the supplements on her male and it's improved his fertility as well. And, who else? Shaney also mentioned about the supplements. So it's good to hear consistent feedback across various different breeds and how they're seeing that benefit, because some people will argue and go, well, why are you doing those? I feed my bitch a good quality food and what more does she need? Like, she wouldn't get any extra supplements in the wild. But I'm a true believer it does make a difference. I think it's important about I'm going to big you up, Isabel, now. It's important about the quality of supplements. So I think some people have used supplements and said they don't work because the quality of the supplements they're giving aren't good enough or that the dosage is incorrect. So I think Isabel's done a really amazing job of finding some really high quality supplements, but also making sure that people give them the correct way and in the correct dosage.
Absolutely, because I think Isabel mentioned that, like, the raspberry leaf needs to look a certain colour. If you're going to get the sort of, the ones from like your supermarket, they're just not the same. They're not natural. Isabel's, has obviously done her research, and it's nice to know that what I'm putting into my bitch is all natural and it's not any nasties. One of my friends, when I was like early stages of breeding Elsie, she's in Yorkshire. She races Whippets as well. And she's like, let me send you the link to Isabel. She's really great. You can get all your supplements from her. I said, oh, thanks very much, but I'm already like using these supplements. It's like, so my friend Sara up in Yorkshire was telling me about you, and I said, I'm already on the supplements, Sara. I said, thank you very much. But what a small world, like in the Whippet racing world. She's in Yorkshire and I'm in Eastbourne, Polegate, and we're using you for our supplements.
I love to hear that that I'm able to support. It's again, it goes back to grassroots breeders.
Well, I think it's interesting now because as dog owners were so empowered with, I guess, the use of the internet. You can ask Google pretty much anything and you will get a response, a reply. Whether the credibility of it is another conversation. And what I realised is I took two of my dogs. I took my puppy, actually, King, to the vets for his first vaccination, and he's just over 10 weeks old. So I thought, oh, that's fine. I'll take him down for his first vaccination because I want to start getting him out and about. And I took one of my other dogs as well, that she basically developed a load of scabs on her back that hadn't bothered her. She hadn't scratched them. I couldn't work out whether it's some kind of reaction or I wasn't sure. So I thought, well, if I'm going there anyway, I'll take her in. And I could not believe how the vet did not ask me any questions about my dog's lifestyle. So I was like, how can she diagnose a condition without knowing what she's eating, what supplements I'm giving her, where do I exercise her, how do I exercise her, what's her engagement with other dogs, how many other dogs? She literally didn't ask. So that just proves that vets aren't given a holistic view, are they?
Yeah, because it could have been an allergy to something you've been giving her and she didn't ask those questions. So.
Didn't ask about cleaners. Have I changed cleaners? Have I changed laundry detergent? Have I got a wax candle, burning that I'm obsessed with? Or literally didn't ask any questions. And I thought, well, we're taking, like the whole point of this podcast is a holistic breeder. We're looking at the whole entire sphere of that dog and making sure we can keep it as wholesome as possible. So when we breed her, that she breeds puppies that are as healthy and fit and healthy as possible, and she's as safe as possible. Yeah, I'm taking my dog to an expert because it's not very well, and she didn't ask anything about that dog's lifestyle.
Really quite scary, really.
Well, it shows it's not comparable to this because this is private health dog care that I'm paying for. It's not government funded. So yeah. I'm expecting the standard to be a bit higher. I was actually told in that consultation that my dog had lepto-3, which I was like, oh, lepto-3? I've not heard of this as a thing. So anyway, I come back and Googled it. It doesn't exist. So I'm slightly concerned. That is a vet practice that I use just because it's local to me and I can do basic stuff like puppy vaccinations. But I'm concerned. I said to Isabel, I think that consultation rooms should be recorded because I think there should be evidence of some of these conversations that are happening because I feel that some pet owners are being blamed for not understanding the situation when actually they probably did. They were told the wrong thing. So I might take a slightly different approach now to recording my consultations whenever I go to the vets to have a clear understanding of what they've said to me and that I've interpreted it the right way and actually that they've told me the right thing in the first place. So I get it. They're an industry. They are under pressure. They're super busy. Dogs are popular. But when I'm paying, I think it was a £60 consultation for them to ask me no questions, what was the consultation for then? What was I paying for? So I'm just a bit concerned that the veterinary industry, yes, they do have their own pressures, and I think there are bigger pressures in regards to dog ownerships, animals in this country, but it's concerning that vets aren't able to identify owners and what stance they might have in regards to having a holistic approach by just asking some basic general questions, which seemingly we now have dog breeders doing. So surely it should be extended past that. It should be a more open part of the community and how services are provided.
Yeah, that's
in my opinion.
Well, because you're paying for that service, but you're not actually getting it.
Yeah, and it's expensive. It's not cheap, is it? Like I said, to own a dog isn't cheap. So to look after them, to keep them in good condition. Yeah. So surely we should get a service that's of that quality. But yeah, that was just me taking it on a tangent in regards to, just not overly convinced that the holistic approach is being applied to all elements of dog care, which is a shame. Right, should we move on to the quick fire round? So I've just got a couple of short questions that you don't worry about too much. But I'm going to start with supplements, pre or post pregnancy, or both.
Both.
I thought you might say that. What would be your number one recommended item or tool in regards to dog breeding or service? I suppose I should add in.
Listen to your gut, 100%. Don't always think that the person that's bred a lot more litters than you are going to know more than you.
Amazing, thank you. If you had to summarize holistic ownership or holistic dog breeding in one in one word, what would it be?
Priceless.
What are you going to call your puppies? Have you got any names?
Yes. Ida is I've got a cream girl, which I ordered her. So the universe literally gave me what I wanted, which was brilliant. I wanted 3 boys and 2 girls, and Elsie provided that, which is fantastic. So the cream girl is called Ida and the black girl is called Ivy.
Oh, nice.
And the stud dog owner's still not chosen his because he can't. He said, I want all 3 of them. And I'm like, well, you can't because the other 2 are obviously they've been booked for 3 years, these puppies. So but hopefully he'll choose tomorrow when they all come.
Oh, bless. Yeah, it sounds like you. I always tell the story now of you or your crystals down your bra.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
I always share that with people now. I go, look, keep the faith. Keep the faith. There was once I went to this lady's house and she had all her positive crystals all in her bra.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, that day was, that was so lovely that day, Sara, when you went, well, there's 2 there straight away. I was like, what? Yeah, well, there's 2. Look, there. Oh, my God. Oh, it was the best day of my life.
It's nice to see people that have tried really hard, and obviously that's why you were a Rising Star finalist and also winner of the Holistic Breeder Award, because to see someone fail and go, no, I'm going to go again, and then it not work again and go, right, what can I change? What can I improve? What can I do differently? And I'm going to go again. And it was almost third time lucky, but you literally pulled out all the stops. I think, you had a moment of, this needs to work. I need to tick all the boxes. I need to make sure I've covered all bases. And you've done exactly that. And it paid off. So what more, the proof is in the pudding. And
Definitely,
then to get such a wonderful size litter, to know that everybody's all okay. Mum's doing super great. Like from Isabel Mai's point of view, that's what we like to see. And that's what we like to back. And that's what we like to champion. There's someone that takes the role seriously, learns by their mistakes, does better the next time, and then they're rewarded for it. Like we can ask for a better outcome.
And the blood test, because we stopped twice before, we were like, oh, we're just going to try it on that day. You've got to keep blood testing. And like, obviously, Elsie had those 7 blood tests, and that was quite costly and quite time consuming. However, they are for a reason. You have those blood tests for a reason, and that's because you want to get your bitch pregnant. You can't just guess. You've got to go right to the end.
Yeah. I say to people, when you've gone so far with the blood testing, you have to keep going. Otherwise, it literally is a waste of time, money,
absolutely.
energy. And I think some people think like I'm trying to squeeze you for money. I'm like, no, if you want to do the job properly, this is what it takes. And you can stop at any time. Like, it makes no difference to me. It's not my female.
Right. That's right, yeah.
But and sometimes it takes a little while for the penny to drop.
Yeah.
But you got there in the end, so it's fine. So my last final question for you is, if you had to describe breeding in one word, what would it be?
Beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because you've got some beautiful pups to stare at.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out, really sharing your story with the listeners, and to officially award you the Holistic Breeder Award. I don't know if Isabel's still here or whether she's dropped out. Is she still here?
She might have dropped out, I think. Yeah,
I think she's dropped out. So I'll say thank you on Isabel's. Oh, no, she's back twice.
Well, thank you. Thank you both. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the award.
Your certificate and rosette will be on its way shortly. So I hope you display it with pride and you take it as a nice...
Definitely. I'm going to put it in a frame.
Take it as... Well, your rosette's already framed. So, yeah, your certificate.
Lovely.
Your certificate will actually be in the presentation folder as well. So we've stepped it up. But, yeah, I hope you take it as, part of the journey, really. And it's great that you shared your learnings with other people and that hopefully they can take something positive away from it. And... at best not make the mistakes that you did, and at worst end up with a lovely bunch of puppies. Thank you ever so much, and
thanks, Sara. Thanks, Isabel. Really appreciate it. Have a lovely day. See you.
No worries.
Then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you've resonated with this episode, you're already showing the mindset that matters the most. But great breeding isn't just about attitude, it's about understanding your breed, your specific circumstances, and where you are in the journey.
That's where a Brew Crew mentorship comes in. No one-size-fits-all advice, just personal, practical support shaped around you. Whether you're planning your first litter or refining your approach, we'll walk you through every step of the way.
So come on and join us at breedersbrew.com for tailored learning and a community that's raising the bar, one thoughtful, well-prepared litter at a time. Can't wait to see you there.